Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm in another crawl space today. I've been in a lot of these lately, but anyhow, I wanted to make a quick video of how a crawl space should look so I could put it on my website maybe when I get time. So, I go into a lot of bad crawl spaces, but this is actually a really nice one. So, some of the features are, you've got gravel on the floor, and under the gravel is what we call visqueen, or plastic. It's a thick construction type plastic that you put on the ground. It's a vapor barrier. It keeps moisture from rising up out of the ground and into the crawl space. And hopefully the seams are taped and goes up on the wall a little bit. And another good feature here is you've got a sump pump. We're on the water here actually. This is a nice house on the canal. You got a sump pump there. That's the condensation line coming from the furnace going into the sump pump. It's a newer home, built in '97. It's got what they call eye joists. These are not solid timber frames. These are eye joists. I think they call them eye joists because they're shaped sort of like an eye beam. One thing you don't have is insulated plumbing lines. The water lines down here are not insulated, but you have heat. There's a heat duct, so they actually heat the space. And you have vents, and the vents are up high on the wall. Okay, they're up high. You can see how high this crawl space is. This is what, about 3.5 feet or something. Let's put my overalls on. This gravel's a little hard on the knees when you come in here. Sometimes these vents right here, they're to let air in here, obviously, and sometimes those vents will be way down at grade level, and then there'll be a downspout outside where they're bringing the water off the roof. And it'll be right next to the vent, and actually the grade outside will be higher than the grade inside the crawl space. So what happens is the vent becomes a place for the water to come into the crawl space. So that's not happening here, so that's great. What else? There's no insulation between the joists. They must not have required that when they built this house. Plus they're heating the crawl space, so you could argue that you don't need it since the crawl space is heated. You got insulation on the outer wall here, foam insulation, which is really nice. It won't absorb water like fiberglass with paper backing insulation will, and it starts to deteriorate pretty quickly in these crawl spaces if they're damp, which a lot of them are damp. So let's go over here. Here's another thing you like to see in a crawl space. A nice block column that the house is resting on, and there's one down there. Right there. Some people call these stanchions, some people call them piers in construction. But they're all the same thing. They're to hold the house up. You can see you got steel shims under there. You got a steel I-beam with steel shims, okay, not wood. So this is a really good setup. Not perfect because you don't have any insulation in here, but I would still insulate that even though the space is heated. But anyway, that's it. That's what a good crawl space looks like.